We are back for another episode of SNS Pigskin Picks. I am Proudy Sandhu, joined along with Jeremiah Sheen, and
Howdy.
we are going to recap. Doing well, crazy NFL week. We're going to recap the week one slate of games, starting with Pittsburgh, Atlanta. Atlanta was a 4-point favorite. Jared, what were your thoughts in the game?
I watched most of the game and Kirk just came out firing. It looked like, oh man, like they made the right decision. And then he threw that interception and it just seemed like everything fell apart from there. The Steelers defense is so good.
It
Not they don't
was.
get enough credit. They don't get enough credit. So really, yeah, hats off to the Steelers. I don't know if it's more of, hey, the Steelers has a great defense, or okay, Atlanta's not as good as everyone thought they're going to be. Bijan looked good.
He did.
But other than that, the Dirty Birds, they did hold Pittsburgh to 18 points, a lot of field goals, which I'll give
It
them
was sloppy.
hats off for that.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
offenses weren't
um,
there. I mean,
I just
Steelers
expected a
didn't do
lot more
much on
from Atlanta.
offense. They kicked a bunch of field goals, right? They kicked 6 field goals. So good job for Chris Boswell there. Move along to Arizona, Buffalo. That was a shootout. Buffalo ends up winning 34-28. What were your thoughts on that game?
Oh, wow. I was just watching, and it's funny. I had this inclining, oh, Arizona's going to be up 14-0. It was 17-3, and
Yeah.
wow, Buffalo just came back. Hats off to Arizona's offense. They said, hey, we're here. But Arizona's
Yeah.
defense, still the biggest question mark. Gannon supposed to be this defensive
Mm-hmm.
coordinator. Like, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, yeah, they did well in the first quarter or so, but then I think the end of the second quarter, Buffalo woke up and James Cook looked pretty good for them. And I just think they had a little too much for Arizona in the end, but it was a good game. It was one of the more entertaining games that we got to watch in the 10 o'clock slot for us here on the West Coast. So we'll move along to another sloppy game, Chicago, Tennessee.
Oh
I
man.
know it was tough to watch and follow along, but yeah, it
Simone
was.
Biles was probably in the stands
Hmm.
cheering on her man, and lo and behold, he blocks a punt
Yeah.
to kill my bet. So
Oh, a lot of people were.
hats off to Jonathan Owen. Caleb Williams, lucky to win his first start. Not very
You know, he
impressive.
he didn't make any mistakes, but again, he didn't do anything impressive at all. It was just it was like a preseason game, to be honest. Like I was not impressed by either team. Um, Levis basically handed it to them when he threw that backhanded throw. He was about to get tackled, and he just tries to throw it out of bounds like he's Mahomes. Chicago guy just grabs it. It's like a fluttering, right? Like me or you could have grabbed it, and he just runs down, gets touchdown. So I don't think too much taken from that game. Here's the upset of the week. New England 16-10 over Cincinnati. We were both scorned by this game.
Cautionary tale
Mm,
about parlays. Just go with
right.
singles, people. Spread your stuff around. Don't ruin
Yeah.
all your day's bets from one Cincinnati loss, which is what I did.
And look at all the people in survivor pools. They were hurt too, so we're all kind of feeling it in that game. Let's move along to probably one of the better games in the morning slot. It was Houston 29, Indy 27. And that was a AFC South clash. What'd you think, Jer?
Oh, I was checking out Pat McAfee before I watched the game and checking out his picks with AJ Hawk. And, he's talking about,
Right.
loud stadium and this and that. And they did a lot better than I
Mhm.
thought they would. But in the end, Houston, they improved their roster from last year and, they surprised people. So, the
Right.
spread, of course, they didn't cover, but I really
Very
impressed with
sharp.
Houston. I think they're going to go
Mixon looked
again.
well too.
Yeah,
Joe Mixon
Mixon.
looked pretty good.
What was like 30 something carries over 100 yards or 160 something,
Um,
160 yards, something like
yeah,
that.
they were pounding the rock pretty good, and CJ Stroud didn't have to do too much, so I was impressed by that. Um, Entertaining. Indy just kind of didn't have enough time, but valiant effort. Um, Here's another exciting game. Miami Jacksonville. It was at one point Jacksonville was up 17-3. Excuse me.
Yeah, I got to watch a lot of this game, and
And then I
yeah,
think Etienne was going to run in for a touchdown, and then my local guy here, Javon Holland from Coquitlam, he knocked it out, and then Miami basically got a touchback. Next play, Tyreek Hill, 80-yard touchdown. Miami's down by 3 instead of being down 17. It was a huge 14-point leverage play. So Miami wins 2017 with a 52-yard field goal. Jacksonville ends up covering the spread. This was the beatdown of the day. New Orleans, 47-10. A lot of people took Carolina and the points. Just just a beatdown. Bryce Young looked terrible. And New Orleans, I happen to win the division, so I'm kind of happy. But I mean, it's Carolina, so I'm not, you know,
I
writing
just
home
don't
about it. What
think
were your thoughts?
I just don't think Carolina is going to do much. I think it's going to be more of the same from last year. They might
Yeah,
win 4 games.
0-17.
Well, maybe not the
Yeah, I don't know.
legendary 0 and
Yeah.
17, but yeah, just I'm going to be head hunting Carolina most of the weeks.
Well, we'll
Maybe not
we'll
with
be
the
talking about
spread,
them
but
next episode. Next episode, they're going to be at home, I believe, to the Chargers. So that'll be in our next episode. We'll get into that one. How about Minnesota, New York? This was another beatdown. Giants looked horrible. Daniel Jones needs to get his ass on the bench. And Sammy Darnold was spinning it, like you said.
Team
You believe in
Darnold over
Sammy?
here.
Yeah.
Loving
Okay. What?
Darnold. What a
Hmm.
quarterback rating. He's got a lot of weapons, and he's using them to the max effect. And I like what he's doing until, they have a tough task ahead of them in San Francisco next week, especially if they end up losing to the Jets. So,
Yeah, that'll be an
yeah.
interesting game. But this game, I mean, like they had that pick six for a touchdown. This was like just, I don't know. I feel bad if you went to this game as a Giants fan. So let's move along to the 1 o'clock games, the 4 Eastern. Um, Los Angeles Chargers 22-10 over the Vegas Raiders. It was pretty close for a while, but I think Chargers just let loose, and then there's some funny plays by Minshew. But what did you think of that game?
Man, the men show comes out firing. They get
Hmm.
a early 7-3 lead, and I thought he was,
Right.
at least going to manage himself into a win, and just offense
Yeah.
just sputtered after that. That's
They
too bad.
they they
Devontae
kept getting
Adams, like,
sacked. Yeah.
oh man, I feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, he didn't exactly he had a decent game like stats wise, but yeah, he's stuck in a shitty situation. And the rookie tight end looked pretty good too, from Georgia, Brock Bowers. So maybe some promise. They got a tough matchup next week with Baltimore. Moving along to Seattle, Denver. Denver with a backdoor push or cover, depending what the number was. 26-20, Seattle ends up winning. And what were your thoughts on the matchup there?
Oh man, with that safety, I guess this is a new rule
Two
when
safeties.
you're backed up. When you're backed up and
Yeah.
you get a penalty, it's a safety. Like, no, it's always half the distance to go, half the distance to go. And these guys don't
Yeah.
care because they're like, okay, give me another inch, give me another. Like they kind of
Right.
just play on it, and then finally get those few yards they need, and then they don't have to think about it. But now it's a thing. It's it can kill you. Those 4 points, could have been the difference, but Seattle perseveres. They're looking
Yeah.
weak on a few fronts. I might be looking to bet against them depending on what the number is.
Well, they're in New England next week, laying three, I think 3 or 3.5. So we'll
Okay.
be talking about that game in the next episode of SNS Pigskin. Dallas beat the snot out of Cleveland. That the score does not illustrate what happened. 33-17. I mean, this was Deshaun looked horrible. I don't know what to say. That. What were your thoughts? This beat
Yeah, no,
Kansas
it
City.
seemed like Dallas just came out of the gate like we are talking like they need. It's a contract year for Dak. It's a contract year for Mike McCarthy. It's all these guys they got to put up or shut
Mhm.
up, and
Yeah.
they're
Well,
playing like it. So
Dak got his contract just before the season started, so he's happy. But McCarthy's got no leverage whatsoever. He's just a sitting duck, really, right? So, and then the final game of the 1 o'clock slot for us here on the West Coast, Washington losing 37-20 to Tampa. I was impressed by Baker. Um, Daniels looked
steady
okay for
Eddie.
Washington, but
Yeah.
yeah, you were talking about Tampa on our preview show, and then you said that you were liking them, and spread actually went up to 4 at game time. So Tampa looks good. I know you have them to win that division, so yeah. So those were the review of the games. There, here we got Rams and Detroit still finishing up. I wanted to get your
2020.
thoughts on. Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on some injuries. Puka Nakua, he got carted off for the Rams. Who else was here? I think David Njoku. He's got a high ankle sprain, so
Jordan
most
Love,
likely
of
not going to
course.
play. Jordan Love's out 3 to 6 weeks, but probably 4 to 5. They're saying somewhere in there. Yeah, so there was a lot of some injured defensive guys who got injured as well, but not some big names. But yeah, it was a pretty sloppy night. I thought, you know, week one, but all in all, it was great to be back. And
Love it.
any final thoughts on the games here while we're watching overtime of Detroit and the Rams?
Um, no, I was just so surprised by Cincinnati, though, how they let that one get away. I'm just seeing it at the end of the season when they really need that win, and they're going to think back to that
Yeah,
when
I
that's going to be
mean,
like one of New England's 4 wins or something.
I
Yeah.
don't think anybody expected New England to win, not even like their family members did, right? So that was definitely a huge shocker. But yeah, we're gonna come back and we're going to review some of our picks from week one, and we're going to give some thoughts on week two matchups coming up in the next episode, and lines, and maybe some of the games that we're liking. So another here good episode of SNS Pigskin Picks with Jer. We will be
All
back
right.
for another one.
Peace.